Hello again. This is Will Luden, your host with Revolution 2.0, a revolution of the heart. Bringing you today's episode. It's a fun title. Will and Jada Smith, Thuglife. And together we are at episode 393. The slap heard round the world is stunningly controversial. To me, the only thing stunning is that there's any debate, is that there's any controversy at all. This is a disturbing example how so many of us have come to see being dissed as an excuse, a justification for being violent in response, and justified to the point where that violence is to be prayed and emulated. Good job, Jada and Will. Understanding how to react to incidents like this is part of the overall Revolution 2.0 goal of creating better lives for ourselves, our communities, and for America. After initially laughing at Chris Rock's joke about Jada's shaved head and comparing it to Demi Moore's shaved head in the movie G.I. Jane, Will noticed that his wife was upset and reversed course. He then walked on stage and hit Rock with a hard roundhouse slap, then walked off the stage with a very smug, self-satisfied look and walk. That was not enough. He needed to yell, "Keep my wife's name out yo fucking mouth," using street justification, grammar, and vocabulary, and he wasn't done then. He yelled it again. We don't need to hear it again. But he yelled it again. All while Jada was staring down Rock with a "take that" look. Not long afterward, when Smith received his Oscar as Best Actor, the entire hall erupted with a standing ovation. And if you're enjoying this on YouTube, you'll be able to see a picture of very self-satisfied Will Smith, 40 minutes after belting Chris Rock over a perceived insult. A very self-satisfied Will Smith holding up his Oscar and getting his picture taken. There is no difference between Smith's violent reaction to being dissed and many other examples we see where people feel dissed, react to a perceived slight with violence. And let's go through some of these circumstances. One, we've seen many videos, we've heard them talked about, we've seen them on news broadcasts on the internet, where some fool in a fast food joint receives some sort of real or imagined slight, and this is now the opportunity to attempt a beat down on the people working in that fast food joint, to the point where some of them jump the counter and beat on the people behind the counter. Another example: passengers in the airport on the airplane itself. These people get physical over things like delayed flights, the wrong seat, or a seat that they don't want, or masks. You know, the mask you're supposed to wear and you agreed to wear when you signed up for your ticket. They get violent over that. Antifa, street thugs beating up on people that they disagree with politically, or students getting physical with teachers, other students, and invited speakers over a variety of slights, most of whom are just political differences. And there are so many more examples. And these are all variations of being dissed. Here's a useful definition from the Dictionary of Oxford Languages. The definition of dissed is speak disrespectfully or to criticize. If you follow Smith's example, every time you feel you're being disrespected or someone criticizes you, well, you're justified in hauling off and popping them. Tragically, the world is heading in that way, even without the justification, this kind of justification and encouragement from the rich and famous. When Ricky Gervais famously carved up the entire group of Academy Award winners, nominees, and the attendees, he was far more brutal, far more critical, far more in your face than Chris Rock. The attendees, many of whom were very uncomfortable, notably, certainly one of them was Tom Hanks. He was really uncomfortable and showed it on his face. He didn't walk up on the stage and belt anybody. He didn't even shout cuss words using street grammar. He just sat there and took it. I'm sure that he had a lot to say to important people afterward. But he didn't go up there and belt anybody, nor did he feel he needed to. Famous roasters like Don Rickles would, in person and personally, in face-to-face with people, sometimes 2 feet away, rip apart the powerful, wealthy, and famous with nothing but riotous laughter from those people being roasted and the audience in response. No Safe Spaces, a First Republic site. I'm going to quote from them. No Safe Spaces. Smith's violence is an implied threat to all comedians who now have to worry that an edgy or insulting joke might be met with violence. Good thing Don Rickles, Bill Burr, Ricky Gervais weren't there. As comedian Kathy Griffin, yes, that Kathy Griffin, tweeted, I'm going to read this. Now we all have to worry about who wants to be the next Will Smith in comedy clubs and theaters. In other words, stand-up comics. They're going to have to worry that as part of their routine, in response to part of their routine, some fool's going to come out of the audience and pop them, or worse. Why the violence from Smith? And why the number of people who think he not only had the right, but did the noble thing by going up there and whacking Chris Rock? I was initially going to steer away from the racial aspects in my analysis, but others have brought that aspect up for me. Tiffany Haddish, black actor and comedian who starred with Jada Pinkett Smith in the blockbuster movie Girls Trip, told People magazine, "When I saw a black man stand up for his wife, that meant so much to me." Come on, Tiffany. Belting another guy over a joke, even when in poor taste, that's not standing up for anybody. That's certainly not honoring your wife. That's just being a thug. Jamela Hill, black sports journalist who famously politicizes her coverage, mostly with her racially centered view of sports in the world. Here's her quote. "But I can't help but notice the disproportionate outrage that many people in white America and many in Hollywood, and many of the whites in Hollywood, are showing." She's making a black-on-black assault racist. Let's say it again. "But I can't help but notice the disproportionate outrage that many people in white America and many in the Hollywood elite are showing." Now comes Maya Nigel Hoskins, a black writer, a CRT activist, and professor writing in Forbes magazine. This is about a much larger systemic issue rooted in white supremacist culture designed to police the behavior of blacks amongst the who's who in Hollywood. Respectability politics suggest that equity and fair treatment require that black people, both inside and outside of Hollywood, conduct ourselves in a manner acceptable to whites. How about in a manner acceptable to civilized society? Or just the law? There's nothing CRT about this, no matter how you twist and turn. Racially disproportionate justification and praise for Smith's action, yes, did occur. The reactions on both sides were racially disproportionate. But They're not the only people. It's not just racial and racist reaction. A poll conducted by Blue Rose Research, a well-known Democratic pollster, found that a higher percentage of Americans ultimately see Chris Rock in the wrong after Will Smith smacked him in the face. How can that be? And the Will Smiths and the Jada Pinkett Smiths of the world are feeding that fire. They are throwing gas on the flames. Except some context. Jada Pinkett Smith has alopecia, a condition that causes loss of body hair, not just hair on your head, body hair. My research shows that Rock did not know that when he made the joke. For the sake of argument, let's say that Rock did know and then delivered what could only be called an unfunny joke in poor taste. But even then, even if he had known, which I'm certain he didn't, but even if he had known, that would not have come close to justifying Will Smith leaving a seat, walking up on the stage, and just jack-slapping a much smaller man. This is a good place to hear from those who say things like, I don't condone violence, but Will was defending his woman. You can't say, I don't condone violence, and then condone it. If you agree with what Will Smith did, if you say, yeah, but he was just defending his woman, then just say it. I condone violence and Will did the right thing. Don't start with, I don't condone violence, but Will did the right thing. What he did and supporting that is the very definition of condoning violence. And if you support the escalation of perceived insult, real or imagined, to physical violence, would you condone the escalation of physical violence to gunfire? For example, if Chris Rock had walked over and slapped, for whatever reason, Jada Smith, would the escalation from the slap to gunfire have been okay? And if not, why was the initial escalation from perceived insult to physical violence okay? Jada Pinkett Smith, Jada did not comment on this furor until Tuesday, March 29th, when she posted it on Instagram. This is the season for healing, and I'm here for it. Jada, what we need, yes, we need healing. What we need is for people like you and your husband to reverse course and not only stop overreacting in situations like this, promoting and encouraging and then overreacting and then justifying it and then somehow calling for healing. We need you. We need you and your husband. We need the rich, the famous, the beautiful to say, no, this is wrong. We need you to encourage your husband to stay in his chair and be cool. We need you and others to de-escalate, to say we need to chill. We need to relax. We're in environments where reacting with violence is entirely inappropriate. Maybe that'll seep out to the next person who's in a fast food place. And maybe they'll question whether violence is a good reaction to maybe not getting enough ketchups, or someone who didn't smile or glared at them at the wrong time. Maybe it'll seep out to the person who's been cut off by an angry driver who flipped them off, and maybe they won't try to run them off the road. We need you to lead. We need you and your husband and other rich, famous, beautiful people in the news to calm things down and preach healing from the start. And here's a thought from another famous woman. Jada, listen to this. Maria Shriver tweeted, we should never get to a place where we sit and watch a movie star hit someone on global television and then moments later get a standing ovation while talking about love. That's what we need from you, Jada. I know, I have confidence that you Will, and many others can lead a very different parade. We all have the personal responsibility to make the right choices about how to stay cool even when we're tested, how to do the right thing even when we're angry, maybe especially when we're angry. We have that personal responsibility. And speaking of personal responsibility, that principle does not stand alone. The two main principles at Revolution 2.0 are: one, personal responsibility, take it, teach it, and two, be your brother's keeper. The answer to the age-old question, am I my brother's keeper, is a ringing, resounding yes. There can be no other answer. And these two principles, personal responsibility and being our brother's keeper, beat together. They work together. It's never only one, never the other. Sometimes it's 75-75. Because when you're doing the right thing, it doesn't have to add up to 100, to just 100%. So where do you stand? What are you going to do? How are you going to implement what we talked about in today's lesson? Because remember, it doesn't matter where you stand if you're not going to do anything, and ideally do something different and powerful and positive. And you can start right now, today, taking powerful, effective action. Subscribe, encourage others to subscribe with you. If you're on YouTube, ring that bell, give us a like. Other places, give us 5-star reviews. Spread the word, encourage other people to join us together as an army of people getting it right for ourselves, our communities, and our nation. As always, whatever I do, whatever you do, do it in love. If we do things and we're not doing them in love, they're empty and mean nothing. Whatever we do, do it in love. This is Will Luden. We'll talk the next time.
You've been listening to Revolution 2.0. If you've enjoyed this stimulating, passionate, and relentless reasoning, we encourage you to get out there and do something. Follow Will Luden and learn more at revolution2-0.org.